Hey everyone, it's Palmer here from Penny Stock Quest. Not much trading this week, a lot of studying, a lot of watching some higher price stocks, how they move, trying to learn that gig. Just trying to expand the knowledge base to look for plays, not necessarily only in low floats, but pretty much if something's moving, why it's moving, take advantage of it. So going to look at a few stocks for next week. Not necessarily headliners or anything groundbreaking. This is just logic trading, I guess you could say, to see how things play out. First one is forAug. They had a revenue and earnings beat. Guidance was above the street estimates, but on earnings release right here, but you can see, I think I said something about this in the Profit League chat room, that it tanked after earnings. And if you look at the earnings date, there's a few things that are going on here. Earnings were released after the market closed on the 1st, and you see buyers coming in. Okay, so you're automatically thinking, well, why the hell didn't this take off in the morning? All right, and there's a few things that go on here. One, it's just simple profit taking on the open. These people that loaded up here and possibly, coming into earnings, new buyers possibly coming in, waiting. You can see this is range bound before the earnings release, and so there was some action, but coming up into earnings is usually the doldrums for a stock. Now, after earnings were released, big buys coming in, 1 million shares, 2 million shares probably after hours. All right, so these people, wherever they got in, if they got in early enough, they're going to want to basically take their money, depending on how they trade. But in addition to that, looking at the 1 date or the 1 year chart, there was a bunch of resistance up here at the 16 area. Okay, so that's been a major barrier to get through for, let's see, this goes back, I draw the fibs on the yearly chart, but let's go back 10 years, see where 16 is. All right, so all the way back here until September, October 2016, this has been it's been a tough area. So 17, so this is recently a tough area to get through. So at the open, you see price comes to that area and gets knocked back. Where'd my earnings go? Sorry, we're a day ahead here. There we go, we're getting there. All right, so price comes back to that area after earnings, during pre-market, and at the open, and just tanks back down there. It's not that it's a bad stock, it's just that this chart is playing out on resistance. All right, it didn't break out, and people were just taking their money. Now it's settled in for the next couple of days at this 14 area, 1430. But stocks like to fill gaps also. All right, so even though it had good numbers, a chart is a chart is a chart is a chart. So this has a potential, if it wants to fill this gap, this is all the way down to this, this 1250 area. So I'm not looking to buy. You might get some kind of pop at this support area, but I'd be kind of cautious because you have this void right here that it might want to fill. This might continue to pull back a little bit. So this might be a swing area around the high 12s, possibly even to the 1250 area. But you see a lot of selling here into earnings, and it's been ranging for for this 1450 to 16 area. And if it breaks out of the bottom of this range, look for it to sell off even more. I know you're not supposed to sell earnings winners, but play the chart. All right, if this area breaks, there could be more downside potential. Keep an eye on this fib number here, right about 1350 or so, if you do take a short position. But this has a potential to fill this gap and then probably swing it up at some time in the future. So this gap's not going to get filled, I don't think, on Monday, but have your price alerts set and just monitoring this in the background. So you might be able to swing this back up, and you might be able to take a short position because there's no buying right here. They're selling at the support area, and if this 14 area breaks, it's 1440, and then 1320. This you can make some money on the downside on this one. So I'd keep this one on watch for swings back up into here. MDRX is the next one. They beat on earnings, and they increased guidance and the revenue outlook last week, and so almost the same thing, but it held up a little bit better. Earnings after the close, people buy, little pop at the open, and then not much happens from there. Okay, because you still have a gap on this one. It's not as prolonged as the forAug, but it's a gap nonetheless back down to this 1260 area, possibly even this 1250 area. There's a lot of support there, and if that breaks, then this might trickle all the way back down to 12 or so, to this support area, even the high 11s. I know that's a lot to ask for, but this is almost doji candles indecision. And if you look at the daily, okay, this is price closed right at the previous high of here, around this area, and this same area right here. All right, it broke out. It had a potential breakout, but it failed. So might look for this to fall back some more. You want to short it to fill that gap. All right, it's your money. At the end of the day, now some of these are higher priced, higher float stocks. Okay, but they still put in ranges. Trade the trend. This is all this is about. A little squeeze at the end of the day for these shorts that we're covering, but not enough to push it back up on earnings to get it going. So, might look for this to fall back even more, because even though it's an earnings winner. So we'll just, alerts are set your price alerts for however you follow things. But again, another earnings winner that might fade a little to fill this gap area. Just going on. This is Sears Holdings. This is the next one. I just kind of like the chart here. Now, it's not the best volume, but might be able to swing this one up. It's at this fib number here, where there has been a few touches in the past. Here. So if you get a little volume surge like here coming back in, it might run its way back up. I don't want to short this just because, I'd rather see a move back to the upside, maybe a swing back up to this 1025 area at least, but I'd look for a break maybe at this 920s. Or set a price alert, look for strength coming back in. I like to set price alerts before the breakout, just because if you want to catch the breakout beforehand, set the price alerts before that, but know that the price can turn right back around. So be prepared for that. That's why, I scale out. If I don't want to go in, if you go in big, scale out, take a little bit off the top, on half your shares, and let the other half work, but don't let that second half eat into your first half or third profits. So that's the wrong way to do things. You want to bank stuff. But again, maybe a bounce, but look for the volume. a couple days of volume to get this going, because it has its, these areas right here. It's working. It's probably going to fall back a little bit, but maybe another $1 or whatever, but still not a short, because there's nothing really going on in the news. This is just a chart play, so this might have a swing back up. Same thing with, other one was NTNX. It's all about the chart. It's working on this uptrend. The earnings aren't for a while, if this is even correct. I have to look at this again, but I'm just playing the trend line on this one, on these dips, and you can see on this dip there's not a lot of selling on the dip. So when you see a dip and there's not a lot of selling going on, that's strengthened the trend, strengthened the chart. Same thing here, and there's more selling on this dip than there is in this one and this one. So this price might pull back a little bit more, and it might come back down to this 2035, this low 20s area to fill this gap, and then possibly look for a swing back up. But let the volume show itself. And again, this is it's not. I don't know what the float of this stock is. I don't think it's a lower float stock. But anyway, this is just, chart patterns. Dips, you got buying on these dips, buying on these dips. You have selling on this dip. So this might test the trend line before it comes back up. But I'll be watching this just for a simple swing back up. And this can move pretty well over the course of a couple of days, $2, $3. So just wanted to keep on watch. Something else, not really a ticker to watch, but stamps.com. It's a $170 stock. So this is where I'm starting to think differently about a few things, and learning some other things. But this is only, I think it's like a 20 million, it's a low float stock, but even though it is high priced, don't let that scare you. This thing ran on earnings. It went from $148 to $215. And you're thinking, how the hell am I going to buy 1,000 shares of that? Who's telling you to buy 1,000 shares? Okay. Buy 50 shares, buy 20 shares. Okay, when you had this earnings move coming in, and they were good, all right. So you had this breakout on the open. I don't have fibs drawn on here, but you can see it busted out of things, and the logic is profit takers wanted their money, they're going to sell at the open. But okay, this is a low float. All right, so there's not a whole lot of shares. So if it was going to tank, it was going to tank. But instead, if you took away the price axis here, you would think this would be a $2 or $3 stock with 15 million shares or something. Okay, the way it was moving. So on the open, it just breaks above the pre-market high, and 180 to, it puts in $20. So a $20 move on 50 shares is what, $1,000. Okay, 25 shares is $500. All right, so there are ways to play all of these, and this ran. Now, it would have been hard to look for entries up in here to re-add, because it was kind of floundering around the VWAP because it was such a big move. You had, I don't know how much was this volume right here. 320 shares. So that's when you see these small volume moves, that's just one person maybe getting out. So, but either way, so it held up, and it ran the next day too. It put in another $10. Okay, it might be a little overextended now. But who knows? It's got its own gap to fill, but it's a low float stock, so it might come crashing back down quick. So, but if this is a short, I'm going to play it like I play a chart to look for an entry, but I'm going to look for weakness to start coming in first. But either way, don't let these higher priced stocks fool you or scare you just because they're higher priced, because they have potential also. And again, you don't have to buy 1,000 shares. You buy 10 shares. All right. Because if it moves $10 in 5 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes or whatever, small accounts, there's $100. All right. So I know that's a little off topic as far as people just getting started, but these higher priced low float stocks have potential also, but just a few things to keep in mind. So sorry about the thunder. Got a pretty good storm coming through right now, but we'll see how next week plays out. Going to be a little more active in trading. Again, spent a lot of time digesting a lot of new methods and techniques this past week. So I was doing a lot of watching, not much trading, but increasing the knowledge base. So we'll see how this next week comes in, and keep your stops tight, bank your money.